Please welcome the 14th president of Lehigh University, John D. Simon.
Wow. It's great. Welcome to the room tonight. Glad you could all be here. There's a lot of electricity in the air. It's high energy. We're coming off an amazing event last night, which I'll tell you about a little later in the show. It's wonderful to be able to look out from the stage here and see so many Lehigh alumni and lifelong friends and supporters of this great institution. Wasn't the Marching 97 just fantastic? And I would say last night and tonight, I've always been concerned they're going to do one of their flames during my remarks. But so far, Kevin, they've kept themselves under control. You can do it during Kevin's, guys. We're all here tonight as a united Lehigh community to publicly launch GO, the campaign for Lehigh. GO will ensure student access and promote student success. GO will enable projects like the renovation and expansion of the University Center, which we'll talk about later tonight. We know about the gift last night. And the new Bridge West Residence Hall. GO will provide the opportunities for distinctive high-impact experiences, including a new College of Health at the university. GO will fuel research and thought leadership by our faculty, students, coaches, and staff, bringing distinction to the university. GO will raise more than $1 billion to support our aspirations, and more than half of that has already been raised through our campaign quiet phase, and many of you in this room have contributed to that quiet phase. It's perfect. It's perfectly fitting that we're launching the public phase on Founders Day weekend. A campaign launch is as much about a celebration of those who have supported and advanced Lehigh to where it is today since its founding in 1865, as it is about the future that we envision. Just walk around our campus. Think about the names you encounter. Packard Lab, Roush Business Center, Zollner Arts Center, Linderman Library, Iacocca Hall, P.C. Rosen College, Murray H. Goodman Campus. These names and others recognize individuals who shaped Lehigh at different points in its history with compelling vision and financial support. Every day, I have the pleasure of walking through Leadership Plaza on my long commute between the president's house and my office. The benches that sit along that walkway are etched with the names of our most generous donors. Many in our community have established fellowships, professorships, and scholarships that support students and faculty. And there are actually many in the room tonight who have been the beneficiaries of such scholarships. Our donors who made Lehigh what it is today envisioned opportunity, sought ways to have an impact, and then took action. They had what I call a GO moment, a moment when their passion for this great institution led them to make a gift so that from that moment on, students, faculty, and staff would be assured that Lehigh will continue to provide excellence in education. This great past creates the foundation upon which we can confidently launch GO, the campaign for Lehigh. So on this Founders Day weekend, I would like to thank everyone who has supported and stepped forward to bring Lehigh to this moment. To our alumni, donors, friends, and volunteers, for your love of Lehigh and your passion and commitment enable us to be our best. you all go bananas over Lehigh. To our faculty and staff, you deserve and you actually define who we are as an institution. And in the competitive world of higher education, you always go one better. You go the distance every day in your pursuit of excellence. And to our students, and we should never forget that this campaign is about our students and our future students. And maybe I should call them our future alumni. You inspire us. You are why we are here. We are committed to providing you with the education and experiences so that you can go from this mountain and lead our world. So Go, the campaign for Lehigh, embodies our forward momentum. Our path is strategic and individualistic. And through this campaign, we will further differentiate ourselves among the best schools in the nation. Thank you for coming tonight. Enjoy the program and enjoy exploring the Intrepid.
Please welcome the chair of the board of Lehigh University, Kevin L. Clayton.
It's a little quieter than last night with Halsey, but I think I can understand why. Not sure I understood all of her words, but she sure did have energy, and our kids were excited. I want to thank everyone and welcome you all for being here. It means a lot to all of us. I should start by saying that on Thursday afternoon, the Board of Trustees unanimously voted to launch Go, the campaign for Lehigh. As your board chair, it was my privilege and honor to sign the resolution that formally moved Lehigh into the public phase of the campaign. As many of you know, I've been involved with Lehigh for my entire life. As a son of an alumnus, as a student, as a Lehigh parent, a trustee, your interim president, and now you're chair of the board. Through the years, I have personally witnessed some of Lehigh's milestone moments, and I've also seen the campus grow in size and in new initiatives that have taken shape over the last 50 years that I've been hanging around. Today, we are all part of another great leap for Lehigh. Never before have I felt the promise that I feel today for this institution in the future. We all know that higher education is changing. We know that Lehigh students are entering a challenging workforce. We also know that by taking action today, our Lehigh will continue to lead tomorrow. So in typical Lehigh fashion, we are rolling up our sleeves and we are going for it. Go, the campaign for Lehigh, will prepare us for the future and keep us well ahead of the curve. We will invest to ensure Lehigh continues to provide outstanding education so our students can go forth and succeed in this world. There's no doubt about it, our goal is ambitious, but I have complete confidence that together we will get this job done. I'd like to take a moment this evening to acknowledge the alumni and the trustees who are help leading this effort. Our volunteers help even our far most flung alumni and friends from around the globe to stay connected to our vision and our purpose. Special thanks go to our campaign event ambassadors who have reached out to their friends, their classmates, their teammates, and colleagues to bring our community together at this event this evening in New York City, last night on campus, and tomorrow night in San Francisco. I'd also like to recognize the full Board of Trustees, President Simon, John and your superior leadership team, our development and alumni relations team, and our outstanding world-class students, faculty, and staff, because without our collective vision, efforts, and confidence, none of this would be possible. I'd also like to give a special thanks to our campaign co-chairs, Maria Schrin, Jordan Hitch, James Maida, and Mark Yeager. Thank you for your forethought, your planning, and your hard work. We are setting the course that will bring Lehigh to great new heights, and that's a challenge that we will all rise to. Thank you for your commitment to Lehigh, and at this point, why don't we give ourselves a round of applause? We deserve it. Lehigh people have been the heart of this magnificent institution for well over 150 years, and they are the reason why we're embarking on this campaign today. Here we are tonight. We have three individuals whose Lehigh experiences tell the importance of our undertaking. I ask that you please join me in listening with me as they tell their Lehigh experiences.
How's everybody doing tonight? There we go. There we go. Awesome. My name is Daniel Amenkwatia, and I'm a current senior at Lehigh University. Okay. You can clap for that. I like that. So when I would think of the word college, I would think of that classic phrase, the best 4 years of your life. And I would think further into that phrase and wonder what elements made the best 4 years of your life, what elements made the perfect college experience. And I almost sort of made a list for myself of what these things were. For example, researching, volunteering, extracurriculars, getting great grades, great friends. And this was the mentality I came into Lehigh with, almost a list of all these things I want to check off. So my first year at Lehigh rolls around, and after a quick stroll through the club fair, I find myself committing 10 hours a week to singing through the university choir and my a cappella group Off the Record. Okay. And as much as I love these groups, I couldn't help but wonder if maybe I wasn't using my time wisely. And I'd start to feel guilty spending all these times with my singing extracurriculars and maybe not enough time researching or volunteering. And I felt guilty because I knew how much of a financial sacrifice it was to send me to college for me and my family. And I couldn't afford to waste my time at Lehigh. And this was a thought that kept creeping in the back of my mind for the longest time. But it wasn't until the end of my sophomore year where everything changed. The end of my sophomore year, I went on tour with the university choir to Spain. We toured all over southern Spain and sang in 4 different cities. And on this tour, I had this solo, a song called If I Got My Ticket, which is this huge, spiritual piece we'd use to close out the concerts. So we're at the third city, Cordoba. We finish the song, we're getting the woos and wahs, everything's great. And I'm walking outside of the concert venue, and this man comes up to me, trembling, takes my hand and says, "Thank you." And before I even had time to react, this woman comes up to me, pen and paper, and just says, "Nombre, nombre." And I knew that to mean name. And I'm not Jamie Foxx or John Legend, but here's Daniel Amenkwatia giving my first international autograph. And it absolutely floored me, and that's when I realized that was the moment. That was the moment I realized what my college experience was all about. And Lehigh taught me that my college experience wasn't about checking off this list I created in my mind. My college experience was about impacting people. And it took almost 4,000 miles in a few semesters for me to realize that it doesn't matter whether through researching or volunteering or even singing, the power to impact people is one of the most beautiful things on this earth. And this is the mindset I've carried with me to my roles as an admissions fellow or an orientation leader and all my interactions and internships. My mom once said that you can't give what you don't have, and I'm extremely blessed and grateful for all that Lehigh's given me, for my relationships, memories, and all the opportunities I've had. I wouldn't have been able to go to Spain or go to New York with my IBE team or meet some of the greatest people I've ever known if not for the generous donations I've received through scholarships. And I'm extremely proud of Lehigh for putting itself in a position to allow other kids to feel the same way I do. I'm proud of Lehigh for enabling other kids like me to access their full potential. And I can confidently say through all the moments I've had at Lehigh that Lehigh's enabled me to go do more and be more than I ever thought possible.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nadine El-Sayed, and I graduated Lehigh this past May in 2018. Thank you. But I'll be honest with you when I say that growing up, I never wanted to go to Lehigh. I know, it's an edgy thing to say in this room. But my dad, my brother, and my sister had all attended the university, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about Lehigh. Moreover, I was born just across the river in Bethlehem, so South Mountain was the backdrop of my entire childhood, and I thought Lehigh was just too close to home. Little did I know, though, that attending a world-class institution in my hometown would actually lead me on world-class adventures so far from home. During my time at Lehigh, I got to go abroad 5 times through completely paid-for scholarships by alumni donors. Whether it was going to the United Kingdom to publish research on the Brexit vote, or traveling to Cambodia to learn more about global citizenship, or even interning as an Iacocca intern in Milan at a luxury fashion magazine, Lehigh fed my creative curiosity by providing ample avenues for me to learn and grow beyond the pages of a textbook. One of my most memorable collegiate experiences at Lehigh was when I received the Dale S. Stroll Grant to travel to England and interview Libyan refugees. During my time in England, I got to meet with this family, also from my hometown in Lehigh Valley, and tell a story of when they traveled to Libya in 2010 and ended up making a bold and radical decision to move there. 6 months later, as we all know, revolution sparks. Another 6 months later, civil war breaks out. And this family of 6 from my hometown ended up getting stuck in Libya for 4 years. The Stroll Grant enabled me to go to England and interview them and try to tell a story on a conflict still being written in history books today. It was a story filled with Civil War chaos and conflict, a story filled with shared humanity and compassion. It was a story that was necessary to tell, and one that Lehigh and Dale Stroll enabled me to tell. But just as alumni network and alumni opportunities provide students on-campus opportunities, it also oftentimes provides students off-campus opportunities. Last year, I got to meet Ann Lunes, the Chief Marketing Officer of Adobe and fellow Lehigh alum, and that led to a summer internship at Adobe, which led to my full-time position now in Silicon Valley. Now I get to take, thank you. Now I get to take the global skills that you learn at Lehigh and apply them to a company whose global products get to fuel creativity every single day across cultural boundaries. I didn't want to attend Lehigh 4 years ago, and as cliche as it sounds, now I can't imagine my life without it. It's why I'm so passionate about giving those opportunities to future Lehigh generations so that they can experience the world in the way that I was able to during my time at Lehigh. Thank you, Lehigh. I'm very incredibly grateful to go to a school that is so passionate about providing these opportunities, and it's honestly made me who I am today, and for that, I'm grateful.
Stepping into the light, I want you to remember that. Think about that image, the light. I'm Vassie Ware. I'm a molecular cell biologist and professor of biological sciences, and I do a lot at Lehigh. I collaborate in teaching and research with a lot of colleagues across the campus. With one of my colleagues, Neil Simon, who I think is here tonight, he and I run a program called RARE and BioConnect, and these programs are currently sponsored by the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. My students, and I have to tell you my daughter also, tease me many times about the metaphors and the analogies that I use to communicate, but oftentimes they appreciate how I communicate in that way. The metaphor that I'm using tonight is about an experience, stepping into the light, or stepping out of the darkness into the light. That reminds me of why I am so passionate about doing research. It's so stimulating to be able to uncover something unknown, to collaborate with folks that are doing just novel things, to unravel a story that has previously been unknown. As faculty, we want to share our enthusiasm with our students. And we do this with our colleagues, and we do it in the classroom, we do it in our research laboratories. We share our scholarly works in that way. Our research experience really can reroute, redefine, and really disrupt a student's perspective of how to navigate the world, allowing a student to take a risk and uncover something new and be more confident in the way in which they do it. I'm going to tell you a story tonight about Joseph. And Joseph was a student in our CPhages program a few years ago. Joseph now is working in an area that I think you will understand how he got there after I tell this story. So one morning, my colleague and I were talking about, and don't ask why we were talking about this, but we were talking about the life cycle of viruses that kill bacteria. And Joseph asked a question. In fact, Joseph thought the answer to the question had to be known. It turns out that the answer was not known, and my colleague and I knew that, and we told Joseph that, and he was stunned. And when I say stunned, the look on his face was that of aghast. And I believe it's because he hadn't imagined that a process that we were discussing could have so many unknown factors, having been studied for so many decades. And the other thing that I think he really could not appreciate is that faculty really don't have all the answers. But what happened that day was really revolutionary. We told Joseph that he had the opportunity to explore the question that he had. We had the tools necessary to do this, and thankfully, we were able to put our minds together to build hypotheses about how to approach this question. And we let Joseph explore all of this on his own. And several weeks later, Joseph came back, and he had results that were really unexpected. In fact, we were so surprised by this that we thought, of course, this perhaps is a little bit too good to be true. But nonetheless, Joseph was able to reproduce his results. And in fact, one of my graduate students was able to reproduce it as well. And so therefore, a reproducible result in someone else's hands was really important. So at that point, we communicated with the lead scientist in the CPhages program. He too was remarkably surprised by these results. But this led to a collaboration between our labs. We did additional experiments. This led to a publication in a prominent journal. It also opened lines of investigation for graduate students, undergraduate trainees as well, and then started a new collaboration with a bioengineering colleague at Lehigh. So all of that from one question that Joseph said. So what can we learn from what Joseph's experience was? What can we learn? Was Joseph transformed? Absolutely, he was transformed. He approached things now with an active learning investigation. Was he enlightened? Absolutely enlightened. The questions he learned were not confined to one group of people or one person. He knew that the important questions and ideas were actually open to everyone. And could Joseph have ever imagined that he opened doors for so many opportunities to study additional questions? Could he have imagined such a eureka moment for everyone? Absolutely not. No way. But wow. So I say to you, there are many of you here that I know have had Joseph-like moments when you were at Lehigh. And one of the things that I also know is that we have students who are still searching and wanting of those kinds of moments. We need to keep the light on for them, and you can help us do that. So let's keep that light on. Thank you.
Go pushes us to create.
Go finds potential in any problem.
Go breaks down boundaries and opens doors for others.
Go gears up with grit and know-how,
tackling tomorrow's challenges
today.
Go is messy and difficult,
tiring and testing.
Go rises above defeat
and pushes us to try again.
Go reinvents
and redefines.
Go reminds us to never settle
for good enough.
Go believes that something better
is just around the corner and isn't afraid to go get it.
The drive to go. It's an undeniable calling that connects everyone in our community. Because at Lehigh, we know that transformative ideas require both movement and momentum. And people who bring dedication and direction to a dream. Brought from all over the world, we're here to work together. Perspectives converging, disciplines colliding. We solve, create, build, break, design, learn, lead, and take the leap, just as we have for more than 150 years. If Lehigh never said go, we would have never engineered the steel for the Golden Gate Bridge, Panama Canal, and the Empire State Building, or been the first to use a robotic arm to retrieve a broken satellite. We never would have shattered glass ceilings, spread diplomacy across continents, plugged our entrepreneurial spirit into a West Coast economic powerhouse, or transformed local classrooms to change a child's life. Go makes an institution work to do better for our students, for our community, and for our world. But change begins with action, and action doesn't happen in isolation. It's fueled by friction, by the collision of diverse perspectives, ideas, and disciplines.
This campaign will enable Lehigh to assume its rightful place in producing the leaders of tomorrow.
This is the time for all of us to step up, to be able to make Lehigh all that it can be for the next generations moving forward.
Together, we will ensure our students have the scholarships, support, and facilities they need.
Without the generous scholarships of the Lehigh donors, I wouldn't have been able to study abroad and intern abroad and just be here and be part of the Lehigh family.
I'm really grateful that there are donors who are willing to
sponsor these scholarships, because without them, we wouldn't have that platform to show everyone what we could really do and the impact that we could make on the world.
There are students who will be leaders in business and politics, innovators in their fields, influencers of others, and we need to have the opportunity to be on their list.
Our Access and Success initiatives are about providing for the true cost of a Lehigh education.
The Lehigh Fund is a wonderful way for all of us to contribute to programs that go to support students.
We need a revitalized UC. Our students today learn in different fashions. Their interaction with their faculty is different. So we need to upgrade, and we will.
Having a place where everybody feels welcomed, where everybody feels comfortable, where there is an opportunity to interact with other students or other members of the university community is absolutely critical.
Bridge West is exciting simply because in conjunction with the UC, this is going to be a true hub right there at the center of campus, and it's going to be the heartbeat of the campus.
Together, we will build high-impact learning experiences to equip students for a rapidly changing world.
What I learned from Lehigh is that you have to blossom where you're planted. You have to take the most out of the opportunities that are given to you, because Lehigh University has those opportunities to give.
At our company, we try to hire Lehigh students because one of the things I can say from firsthand experience is a Lehigh student is ready to go to work the day that they graduate.
Why I think Lehigh is in a unique position now, starting this College of Health, is I think many of those kind of complex ways of thinking about problems are things that we're really accustomed to at Lehigh. So I see the healthcare industry being impacted first and foremost by the kind of talented people we graduate. So this College of Health will also be a significant producer of new research in health.
What's interesting about the College of Health is that it, in and of itself, is a new kind of thought about what a College of Health is. You know, it's not a school of medicine, it's not a school of public health. It will occupy this kind of very unique role that it will be a very Lehigh-type college.
Together, we will invest in research that will power discovery and change our world for the better.
I think risk-taking is something that I always probably had in me, but I think Lehigh really cultivated it.
Knowing that you have contributed something that has never before been uncovered is a remarkable feeling.
How are you going to be that leader, right? I'm going to be the person who decides to provide some sort of initiative to make a positive impact on life.
So the new HST building is going to lie at the core of the interdisciplinary research at Lehigh. The most pressing problems in society don't really lie within one or more of the traditional disciplines. They really lie in the interfaces of those disciplines.
If you look at today's alumni, whether it's the first female president of the New York Stock Exchange, whether it's two fraternity brothers that created Urban Outfitters, Lehigh has always impacted and changed the world. And that will be true of this generation as well.
Go.
Go! I am so ready to go.
Let's go.
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 I'm ready to go.
2 letters. Infinite possibilities. Go is powerful, sparking progress that will affect generations to come. Go is unstoppable, building a collective force that keeps Lehigh on the forefront of change. Together, let's go. Go, the campaign for Lehigh.
Don't you just love that video? I would say you've heard it, you've watched it. This is Lehigh's moment. Tonight we go big and we're going all out. You heard Daniel, Nadine, and Bassie share some very personal, inspiring stories. I find their energy contagious. And they don't know it yet, but they're going to stay on the road for us for the next several years as we go out and inspire you and about 70,000 other Lehigh alums to participate and go. I want to show you an image from last night. So this is Kevin and I at the end. We're going to reproduce this for you in about 5 minutes. But I actually got a little nervous last night when, before the program actually started, I got texted that over 2,000 students had walked through the gates to be part of the launch. There were 3,400 students at this event last night, coming to hear what we're trying to do for their generation and the generations to come. And at this event, I promised them that they would always be proud to be a Lehigh alum, that whenever they come back to campus in the future, when they are alumni, that they will see that the institution has continued to innovate, to advance, and that, like the opportunities that they had when they were at Lehigh, the students there at that time would also graduate with all the skills and experiences needed to lead their world and face the challenges of their time. I committed to deliver on that promise. And to deliver that requires your continued engagement and support of the institution. Last night, we had the honor of announcing a very important go moment. We're going to share that with you tonight. Kevin, would you join me back here on stage? Let's welcome Kevin Clayton back to the stage. So last night, with one of the most iconic buildings that exists on college campus in America, I had the honor of announcing that Lisa and Kevin Clayton committed $20 million to the renovation and expansion of the University Center. Yeah. Let's get up. Yeah. Thank you. But thank you. And to recognize this gift, the building will be known as the Clayton University Center at Packer Hall. So Kevin, what led you and Lisa to make this transformative gift at this point in Lehigh's history?
Well, that's an easy answer. As your board chair, I was always taught, no matter what leadership role, you have to lead by example, and talk is cheap. And I've been waiting for this moment, as have my lovely wife Lisa and the rest of the family. And now is the time. And so we wanted to kick off the public phase of this campaign by being leaders. I believe in the plan, the path to prominence, led by John and his senior leadership plan team. I don't think Lehigh has ever had a plan as dynamic and capable of executing as I've seen recently. I've spent my whole career investing in winners. Every time I invested in Lehigh, the return on that investment was outstanding. It was a pretty easy discussion. When we looked at opportunities of where we could lead, I looked at the University Center and I thought, gee, just think about it. If you go to Lehigh as a student, if you are a professor and teach our students, if you are a staff member on our campus, at some point in time during your tenure on South Mountain, you're going through that University Center. And as iconic and beautiful of a building it is, The inside needs a little TLC. Our students learn in different ways. Our professors teach in different ways. When I was the interim president, I scratched my head and I said, I sit in the corner that was the reserved president's seat with other faculty members while the students ate downstairs. Didn't quite get it. And so to be in the forefront of an institution that can lead, we need to redo our university center. We need to make it a center whereby when the folks leave that alumni office and those people that are talented, that are able to walk backwards, they quickly move away. They go up onto Veresix Drive and they point to the Linderman Library, which my good friend Brad Scheller and many others in this room renovated not but 15 years ago, to one of the most beautiful libraries of any college or university in America. And that's what we're going to do with the University Center. This is going to be a game changer. When you look at Bridge West, and if you look at some of the conceptual drawings, you'll see that we'll open up the backside. I know this may disappoint some people, but we'll probably even replace Tremblay. After 50 plus years, the ski chalets will go away. But just think about it. In today's world where you need to have people come together and collaborate, or as Joe Sterrett said in the video, to be welcomed and to interact with their professors, with people of different backgrounds, this is the opportunity, and this is the opportunity that we seized. Sorry, we jumped ahead of a few of you. I happen to have an inside track. There happens to be a few more opportunities to join us, but I'll come and see you. But we're really excited about the new University Center and can't wait to get it going. It's going to be a game changer for Lehigh and for generations to come for the whole community.
So Kevin, you touched on this, but I'm curious about what it is about your own passion for Lehigh that connects to the University Center.
Passion for Lehigh, where do I start? Those of you know me well. Again, we were looking for an opportunity that brought the community together. No matter what your background, where you came from, whether you're Greek or non-Greek, whether you're white or you're black, whether you're Chinese, American, wherever you come from in this world, whatever you study. The University Center at Lehigh, and I've had this opportunity in my business career as I've had probably close to 400 educational institutions around the world. This can be a real game changer for us. It will bring our community together. And that is really the passion that I had for Lehigh.
So do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with all of our friends here tonight in 5 minutes or less?
Well, it's hard to condense 50 years into a brief moment, because I think I was about 6 years old when I went to my first football game. No, Joe Sterrett was not the quarterback yet. But we parked in what is now the McGinnis building lot, and that started it all. As most of you know, I come from a large family. Dad graduated in '51. Sam Mismer was kind enough to let me in. It was the only place I applied to. It was the only place that would let me in. And that started it. And I had a phenomenal 4 years there. When I graduated at the tender age of 22, and I thought I knew everything that I needed to know to go to Wall Street, my father said, no, I want you to go make your mistakes on someone else's payroll, pick up an MBA, and you're much more valuable later on in life, even though you have that golden ticket, and that's the Lehigh degree. And I remember that conversation very succinctly over a few bottles of wine. But I was fortunate, again, to connect the dots in the Lehigh fashion that we've all experienced. And that was, Dad happened to have a relationship with Lee Iacocca. He had done quite a bit of work during the bailout period. And I remember him telling me, I called Lee and he said, I would be glad to babysit your son for a few years. So I went to work for Chrysler and washed a lot of cars. But at the time, Lehigh was on the cover of every magazine. He was the industrialist of the year. We had a thing called the minivan. The company was rocking and rolling. And my first assignment happened to be the district sales manager in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Lee's hometown. So I had the great opportunity to, shall we say, chauffeur him a number of times. I used to tell my friends there are two good Lehigh people at Chrysler, one at the top and one at the bottom. I'll let you figure out who was who. But again and again, I saw firsthand, and fortunate to be born into a Lehigh family, where I had the opportunity to see the generosity and the manner in which people gave and gave back. And I used to scratch my head. I said, what's with these people? And I can remember as a child being in the cornfields before a football game with a few gentlemen with some shovels and some hard hats. And that was the start of the Roush Fieldhouse. I can also remember when the Stabler Convocation Center was started. And I happened to have grown up and knew personally Mr. Stabler, Mr. Roush, Mr. Moeller, Mr. Hittinger, Mr. Zollner, certainly Mr. Ulrich, Caruso, our good friends Joe Perella, Murray Goodman. And for what it's worth, it impacted me, and it impacted me greatly. And I struggled when I went to Lehigh. It was tough. In fact, I don't think there's too many people who took Eco 222. Do you know what that is? That's Eco 111 twice. And still to this day, when I have young ladies and young men, as Lisa will testify, they'll come and sit in our couch on a Sunday, just like my father used to make us do, when I thought the admissions office was in Short Hills, growing up. I will make them sit there, and I listen to them, and I kid them, and I said, you know what, you really shouldn't earn a Lehigh degree unless you've taken a course twice. And think about it. It's really tough. I still have nightmares of the hum of the lights in Grace Hall at 4 o'clock quiz time in the blue books. But you know what? It made me tough. It made me prepared. And that's what Lehigh does day in and day out. And I think about the success that I have been blessed with. And I believe that it's my responsibility and our family's responsibility, and each one of us in this room tonight, it's your responsibility to give back so that others can have the same opportunities or better than what we all took advantage of. I should close by saying that I don't make these comments in a vacuum. I wouldn't be here and be your chairman of the board without the love and the blessing of my wife, Lisa Clayton, who, as I told the kids last night, I told the students last night off the top of my head in a whim, I said, I didn't slide right or slide left or whatever they do these days. I said, I met her the old-fashioned way. I met her in the tally-ho. And I'll embarrass her a little bit, and this will cost me later in life, if not tonight. But she said, I said to her, where do you live? And she said, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She said, where are you from? I said, well, I grew up in New Jersey, but I went to school here at Lehigh. And she said, well, when I was growing up, when I was at Freedom High School, I used to sneak over with my girlfriends up on that hill, but I swore I never would date or certainly marry a Lehigh guy. But honey, I thank you for sticking with me. I think it's worked okay. And so I hope I've left you a few words, and I appreciate everybody listening. It's our time to give back. We've got a plan. We've got leadership. Lehigh's a hot school. Anecdotally, we hear it every day. Kids want to come to Lehigh. More importantly, I hear it from my partners, from my clients, from my neighbors. What's going on at that school? There is something going on. There's a change, and we all want to be a part of it. So I ask you to close with 3 things. Number 1, I want you to go and think. I want you to think about what Lehigh has meant to you. In other words, reflect. I'm not looking for a gift. I'm not looking for it tomorrow. John will look for it in 2 days. But I want you to think about what Lehigh has done for you. Number 2, I want you to go and do it. And when I mean go do it, I want you to find an area or a passion, as I told the students last night, that turns you on. There's a menu, you can figure out what our priorities are, but there's lots and lots of opportunities for you to make an investment that's going to have a huge impact. So go and do it. You're going to feel good about it, trust me. And last but not least, I want everybody in this room to go Lehigh. And what I mean by that is we are all ambassadors of this great institution. I don't want anybody to ever think that we are a second-class institution, because we are not. So go forth and go recruit and be ambassadors for Lehigh. With that said, I thank you for listening to me.
So, tonight you heard it, you watched it, and you witnessed Kevin's go moment. And this is indeed Lehigh's time. And Kevin and I look forward to working with all of you to identify your go moment. We have a bold, ambitious goal, and together we can fulfill the aspirations for Lehigh.
As I mentioned earlier, we are ready as an institution. Lehigh is ready. We have drive, we have spirit, and as you all know, we all have grit. And we have a true sense of the community behind us. So together, we are, as Lehigh, ready to go.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Go, Lehigh, go!
See you, partner.
Congratulations.